Alrighty, everybody. Just push this onto Facebook, and we're all ready to go. All right, let's rock and roll. All right, everybody, good afternoon. I hope you are having a lovely day. Today is an amazing, beautiful day outside today. It's in mid-November, and the weather is in the 70s. I feel like this is California weather, certainly not weather. November, and the weather is in the 70s. Certainly not weather that we should be having in New York. So I hope that you find some time right after this class and go for a quick walk. Allow the sun rays to penetrate your face and soul and take in all the awesomeness that God has provided for you today. Okay, Parshat Vayishlah is by far the most emotional of all the parshiot. There's so much information that's happening here. We're picking up from where we left off last week. Yaakov is on the run, and his brother Esav is ready to go to war with him. We see how Yaakov responds to his brother and in preparation for war. So the parsha begins, Vayishlah Yaakov malachim lefanav el Esav achiv. Yaakov is sending malachim messengers, and Rashi goes out of his way to tell us not just regular messengers, but he says malachim mamash, like real malachim, right? So what does that mean, real malachim? Now we have a question to ask. We didn't ask this question last week, but I think it's worth asking now. Last week, we began the parsha with Yaakov, Parshat Vayetze, Yaakov leaving his home and ending up in Har HaMoriah on the Temple Mount. And he has this vision of the angels going down and up the ladder, down and up the ladder. That's a very strange visual to have, because when you think of angels, you think of them coming up and then down, not down and then up. So where do angels come from? By the way, side note, this is just like a cool idea most people don't know about. In Judaism, when we talk about angels, the ancient sources tell us that angels have 6 wings and 1 leg. They don't have 2 legs. And the reason why we stand Shmona Esrei with our the silent prayer, the silent prayer, Amidah, with our legs together is because we're emulating the Malach. When he stands before God, he only stands with 1 leg. He does not need 2 legs because he doesn't need to walk, because he's got 6 wings. Why 6 wings? You're going to have to come back for the Kabbalah class, and hopefully you'll understand a little bit more of that. But anyway, so Rashi over here says Malachim Mamash. What is Malachim Mamash? They say Malachim Mamash, the word Mamash is an acronym. Malachim come from mitzvot asuyot. They come from the actions, the mitzvot, the positive commandments that we do down here. When you, my friend, are involved in a positive act, when you're involved in doing charity, when you're involved in helping someone cross the street, you're giving them a good word, you're making them smile, you're giving them, the ability to feel good. You're helping, you are creating positive energy. That, my friend, that malach comes from down here and it goes back up. So the story of Yaakov's dream, in the dream itself, he saw the angels that he had created from down here going back up. And this week's parsha, it's not just malachim mamash, real messengers, it's malachim that he's created, that he's sending to Esav. And he's got a message for them. Okay, he wants these malachim to tell Esav as follows. Yitzavotam le'mor. He commands them saying, Ko tamrun la'adoni Esav. Go tell my Lord Esav, Ko amar avdecha. So says your servant Yaakov, Im Lavan garti. I lived with Lavan. And you all know the famous nursery rhyme. The word garti, right, comes from the same letters, the otiyot as taryag shamarti. That Yaakov is giving Esav a message that, you know what, I kept all the mitzvot with my father-in-law, Lavan. The question is, what kind of a message is this? Who is he sending the message to? So you're telling your brother Esav, who's literally, we know in a few psukim, that he's going to end up greeting Yaakov with an army of 400 armed men. Okay, you want to go ahead and tell him that you live with Lavan, right, until now, for 20 years? And you're using the word garti to do 2 things. One is the fact that you were a ger, that you were a stranger. And the second is that you kept the mitzvot. So imagine the following. Your twin you've estranged yourselves. He's gone off the derech. He's no longer religious. And the message you're sending back is that, listen, hi, I kept the 613 commandments. in the house of Lavan. That's going to inspire Esav? No. That would annoy him. Like if Yaakov was sending a message to Esav about, his time away and he wanted to impress him, you know what he would have said? Oh, I actually picked a bow and arrow. I'm really good. I got a good shot. I know how to use a sword. I've got a lot of money. Speaking the language that inspires Esav, but he doesn't do that. He says this strange thing in Lavan Garti, Taryag mitzvot shamarti. So let's ask a question. He says, according to this midrash, that he kept all 613 mitzvot. Is that possible? Is it possible for any one man to keep the 613 commandments? You know what the answer is? Impossible. In order for any one individual to keep all 613 commands, he would have to be a male, female, Kohen, Levi, living in the land of Israel with the temple, with the Beit HaMikdash. That's the only way you would keep all 613 commandments. Okay? So how is he even saying that? So he's just still lying over here? Yaakov hasn't learned his lesson? What's he doing over here? What is the message? So how am I able to keep the 613 commandments today? The answer is I can't. I can't perform them because I have limitations, but what I can do is I can invest in them. I can shamarti. I could tell, I'm sending the message to Esav that just like I can't keep all 613 commandments without the people around me, I could only do it through arevut, through a community of people, right? Kol Yisrael arevim zelezeh. And we say all the Jewish people are interconnected to one another. And we say, Afal pishachata Yisrael, even though he sinned, he is a Jew. And therefore Esav is still a Yehud. He's still Jewish. It doesn't matter how far he went. And he's telling him, my brother, even though we are distant so far away, I know that I can't fulfill all these things without this arevut, this partnership between you and I. This was a humbling request of Yaakov saying, listen, you don't realize how important you are. I can't do this without you. And the idea, the fact that he was a ger, right, that he was a stranger, like what is that? Like, you lived in someone's, imagine telling someone that you lived in their community for 20 years and you're always a stranger. How is that possible? And what he's really saying is this powerful idea for us today, that when we go out into the world and we begin to acculturate ourselves with a local culture, just be careful you don't lose yourself. Yaakov says when he was in exile, when we say Maseh Avot Siman Banim, when he was in exile, he said, I'm always going to remain a stranger no matter what. I'm never going to allow myself to feel like I fit in and belong. And he does this on purpose so he can maintain his Jewish identity. I'm not sure if you know about where the Jewish population is headed for the next 10, 20 years, but I'll give you a very unfortunate, bleak update as to where I think things are headed. Currently in America, the assimilation rate, my friends, is 54%. Okay, that means if we don't do nothing, stay as is. Currently, there are about 5 million Jews in America. In one generation, we're going to go from 5 million to 2.5 million. Think about how many empty synagogues and Jewish centers are going to be around in the United States of America. How many schools, Jewish schools, will close, and so on and so forth. How much resources will be lost to our community. Now, if you take out the Orthodox community from that number, the assimilation rate goes up to 73%, which means we're losing 3/4 of all Jews in one generation. That's a horrible statistic. Why? Why are we losing all of them? I'm going to give you even a scarier one. If we look at all the Jews that came to this country, starting in the 1500s, with Jews coming from the Spanish-Portuguese lands, okay, from the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, if you look at basic immigration today, and each one of those people just maintained their descendants. We're not talking about expanding the number of Jews. We're talking about each couple having 2 kids. In America today, there should be 32 million Jews in America. But we only have 5 million Jews in America. What happened? This is what happened. They forgot that they were strangers in a strange land. I'm not saying you can't enjoy America. I'm not saying you shouldn't support America. Support, enjoy, have fun, but never forget you are a stranger in a strange land. He's telling Esav, my friends, when we're going to be in Galut, no matter where we are, remember, you are a stranger. Don't get too comfortable where you are. You're different than everybody else. Once you start getting comfortable, you know what happens? See ya. You become part of the 99% of the Jews that have already assimilated, lost, have been killed, and forgotten. But if you're here listening to this, watching this, listen carefully. You're part of the 1% of survivors who are still here to tell our story. You don't realize how important and how special you are. You're huge. You represent the most successful survivors of your line. So make sure that you don't create the weak link in the long chain, God willing, of our beautiful heritage and history. So Yaakov is teaching us a powerful lesson. You want to be able to preserve your identity. Remember, be a ger, be a stranger in your country for 20 years, and you'll always maintain that deep relationship with your deepest self. Okay, Parsha continues. This is one of my favorite ideas in the Parsha coming up right over here. Yaakov ends up going and he forgets these Pachim Ktanim on the other side of the Yabok River. He splits up his camp and he's ready for war with Esav. He hedges, puts the strong people in the front, the weaker people in the back. If the front gets attacked, the back people can go ahead and escape. Okay, I apologize for going so fast. I just have a lot to say today, and I'm trying to shove it all in. So he ends up going across this river and to get these Pachim Ktanim, and he leaves everyone behind. And it says, V'yivater Yaakov levado. He ends up alone. V'yavek ish imo ad alot hashachar. And a man wrestled with him until the rise of Shachar, dawn. V'yar, and he sees, what he saw, ki lo yochol lo v'yagia, when he could not overcome him, right? When he cannot overcome Yaakov, v'kaf yarcho, he strikes him in the socket of his hip. Okay, this is the Gid HaNasheh. V'tek'a kaf yarech Yaakov, and he dislocates the socket of Yaakov's hip, v'hevko imo, as he wrestled with him. Vayomer, and the man says, Shalcheni, send me, ki Allah hashachar, for the sun, the dawn has risen. Vayomer lo, Yaakov says to him, Ashacha, ki im barchitani. I'll only send you if you what? If you bless me. Vayomer elav, ma shemcha. Right, he says to him, what's your name? Vayomer, he says, Yaakov. Vayomer lo Yaakov Yomar, od shemcha. Your name is no longer Yaakov, ki im Yisrael, but rather you are Yisrael. Why? Ki sarita im Elokim ve'im anashim betucha, because you have struggled with with God and men, and you have overcome. You have won. V'yishal Yaakov Yomer. Yishal, and Yaakov asks Yomer. He says, Higida Shemecha. Tell me your name. Vayomer. He says, Lama zatisha lishmi. Why do you ask my name? Vayivarach oto sham, and he blessed him there. V'yikra Yaakov et hamakom pniel, and Yaakov calls the place where he wrestled pniel kiri'iti elokim et panim el panim b'tinatzel nafshi. He has seen the face of God face to face, and yet his life was saved. Very powerful psukim, very powerful stuff going on here. We have a couple of questions over here. First of all, we only find out at the end of the psukim that this person was a malach, was an angel. Why does he need to go at the Olot Shachar? Because it was his turn to do Shira and Shamayim. His turn to sing a song before the Almighty. But we have a bunch of questions here. Number one, right? Who is this guy attacking him? Who is the malach? Why is he attacking? Why is he coming now? Why is this event happening here? You're wrestling with a guy who dislocates your hip socket, and then you ask him for a bracha. Can you imagine walking on the street, getting mugged? Okay, there's a stalemate, and you're like, it looks like we're not going anywhere. Why don't you give me a bracha? What? What was Yaakov doing? Right? And then, after the malach changes his name to Yisrael, he says, tell me your name. Wouldn't it make sense to first say, hey, tell me your name, and then give me a bracha? You hear the question? Okay, let's give some answers. This answer is based on the what's it called? On the Dubin Magid. This is his answer, and he says as follows: we know this malach's name was Sar Esav. This is the malach of Esav. We also know that this malach's name was Malach HaMavet, the angel of death. This malach's name is Sam El, right? He is the arch. Angel of God that comes out and carries out all the harsh decrees against our people and the world. This is who Yaakov is fighting with. And what happens? They're fighting a stalemate. Malach HaMavet comes to see where he could find the pagam or weakness in Yaakov, and he can't find anything. Remember that the Torah writes things in something called Lashon Naki. So when you look at your hip socket, right, where is that? located? Very close to your groin. And really, Chachamim say that it wasn't the gid that he hit, it was really his, that's right. You could use your imagination here. He hit him where it really hurts, where the sun don't shine. Okay? And why was he able to hit him there? Right in between the legs? Because Yaakov himself was perfect. And he saw the Malach HaMavet, the Yetzer Hara, sees he can't get Yaakov to sin, but you know who he can? His children. And that was a weakness in Yaakov. That Yaakov's kids, his descendants, would be able to be attacked by this malach. So now, he knows the malach. He says, give me a blessing. Why a blessing? Remember, a blessing, the way a blessing works is it can only work if there's something already there. If you have $0, I can't give you a blessing to have wealth. Okay? In order for you for my blessing for wealth to work, you have to have something there. The word bracha comes with 3 letters. Bet, resh, chaf, numerically, bet 2, resh 200, chaf 20, 222, to teach you that the word bracha is a multiplier of something. 222, right? It only works through multiplying something. So he says, tell me tell me about me. Give me a bracha so I can understand, what my strength is. He says, you know what your strength is now? You're no longer going to be Yaakov. You're no longer going to be, what happened? What happened? My internet went out, and it's so weird. Am I still on Zoom right now? Do you guys hear me? Oh, my son took my account and took over. That's what happened. Ay, ay, ay. All right. I apologize for that. If you're watching this on Facebook, then you just got jacked out of my class. And if you are on Instagram, you have still access. My son, who's quarantining right now, took over my account. I guess he has to get back into the Zoom class and logged out my class. So let me see if I could get back in and see if I can get people back into this class. Hold on a second. I apologize for the technical difficulties and the delays. All right. Here you go. I'm letting everybody back in. I'm so sorry about that. All right, let me just continue. If you make it back, you make it back. Again, I apologize about that. Just to clarify what just happened. My son is in a class who someone got a positive COVID test, and he's on his iPad, I guess, using my account, not realizing it. And he has, so he's quarantining from home. And he logged everybody out when he logged into his class. I apologize for that again. All right. Anyway, where was I? Oh, gosh, here we go again. Live on custom streaming. Do I have to do this again? I'm not. I'm just going to post it when I'm done. Okay. So here you go. We have a perasha that continues and tells us a little bit about how Yaakov deals with his malach. He gets his pagam. He gets hit where? In the place where the sun don't shine. Why? Because that's where his kids are. Then he says, give me a bracha. I want to understand what my unique power is. What's my amplifying bracha? You know what it is now? Your name is no longer Yaakov. Your name is no longer the name that has to do with trickery. Your name is the name that has to do with Yashar El. You now, my friend, have rectified your old past. The tricky trickster that you were before is no longer who you are. You become a new human being. You've elevated yourself to the status called Yisrael. Yashar Kel. You are straight with God. The Jewish people are known as Yeshurun, the straight ones. That's what we're aiming for, to be people that are truth seekers, people that want to do what is right, people that believe in justice. And then finally, what is in a name? Yaakov asked the Malach, tell me your name. Why was he asking him for his name? What is the function of a name? The name tells you your essence. The name tells you your superpower. Right? Now, we know that a malach's name changes based on its mission. So Yaakov is saying, tell me your name, tell me your mission. And the malach responds and says, Lama zatisha lishmi, why do you ask me my name? Right? And instead he tells him that your name is Yaakov. So now the Dubna Magid says like this, he says, no. He says, you're reading it wrong. It's true that the name is the essence. And Yaakov asked him to teach him his superpower. How does he get people to sin? If you're the Malach HaMavet, you're the Yetzer Hara, how do you get people to sin? By the way, listen to this answer. You're going to love it. This is the greatest thing. Lama zetisha lishmi. So the Dubno Magen says, don't read it like that. He says, Lama zetisha shemi. You want to understand how I get so many people to sin? You want to understand how the Yetzirah Hara works? I get people to ask, Lama zetisha. Don't ask questions. Just do it. It feels good. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. You'll have a good time. Just chill, relax. It's all good. Don't ask questions. Just do a Nike. Just do it. Don't ask questions and you will be okay. That, my friends, is the Yetzer Hara's way of getting us in his clutches. He holds on to that. Don't think. If you do not have a question, an issue that you are dealing with, you, my friends, are not thinking. Every one of us has to have something we're grappling with. Every one of us has to have a struggle that we're trying to overcome. That's what it means to be alive. If you have no questions, my friends, you are part of the Walking Dead. Welcome to the zombie apocalypse. Apathy is that. It's that bad. We want to train our kids to ask questions. The more profound the question, the more profound the lives that they lead. How does the Yetzer Hara work? Lama zetisha shemi. We want to know what my superpower is, Yaakov? I get people not to think. Don't ask questions. This is how it works. So what does Yaakov do? He calls this place Peniel. The word panim comes from panim, the inner essence of your inner being. What does he do there? He's Peniel. His panim is facing El. That's how he becomes a Yisrael. You want to understand how to find Yashrut, how to find that ability to do what is right. Where is your moral compass? What's it pointing to? Is it pointing to self-centered selfishness? Is it all about money and power and greed? Or do you have what we call Yirat Shamayim? Do you have a fear of heaven? Kol bidei Shamayim, chutz miyirat Shamayim. Everything is in the hand of heavens except for the fear of heaven. You point that fear, by the way, for me, it doesn't mean fear, it means awe, the awesomeness of God. That's what we're talking about over here, the awesomeness of the Almighty. Okay, that's this piece. One last piece, and we'll call it a day. Okay, we know that they moved to Shechem, they moved back, and Dinah goes out to visit the daughters of Shechem. Okay, now this is a very painful psukim over here, because Leah ends up coming out, and V'tetzeh Dinah, and Dinah, we know, gets abducted by Chamor ben Shechem. Okay, now Rashi tells us that she is taken out because she wants to see the daughter, she wants to see the local fashions, whatever it is, but she's raped. Now, I have a question for you, right? If you look back in last week's parasha, where Dinah is born, Pasuk just says, V'taher, that Leah gets pregnant, and she has a baby called Dinah, a daughter named Dinah. With every other kid, it gives a very deep explanation as to why the name is like Reuven, Ra'ah, see, I have a son, Shimon, God hears. Every one of the names of the Shvatim, there's a reason for it, but Dinah, there's nothing there. No mention. So Rashi picks up on it and says, listen, the reason why she's called Dinah is because she does a cheshbon, she does a calculation. At this point, she already had 6 boys. She had 6 children. This is before Dinah was born. And now she's pregnant again. And the odds are, if you have 6 kids, it's safe to assume lucky number 7 is going to be a boy as well. Okay? So she does a cheshbon, she does a calculation, says, listen, you know what? There's going to be 12 shvatim. Everyone knew there's going to be 12 tribes. Okay? So what does she do? She says, if I have a 7th boy, Bilhah, Zilpah each have 2 kids, Rachel has 1 kid, and if I have 7, that means there's no more room for another shed, there's no more room for another tribe. And that means Rachel will have less children than Shivchaot, than the maidservants. So she does a din, she does a cheshbon, she does some kind of inner, working of her own accounting, and says, you know what, I pray that this child should be a girl. So here she is, she could have had 7 of the 12 tribes. She gives up a tribe because she wants to go ahead and make sure that her sister is not embarrassed. Okay? So you'd think that God would reward her. What a sacrifice, right? That's not what happens. What ends up happening? V'tetzeh Dinah, she goes out and she gets raped. This is the reward for sacrifice? That's the story that we read? What a horrible story. Rabbi, why do you teach this stuff? I get this all the time, right? So, did you ever have that experience where you're watching a movie with someone and like every 10 minutes they ask you another question about like what's going on and they don't allow the movie to continue to fill in the gaps for them? You know what I'm talking about? That's this question right over here. This question is only a question if you stop reading the verses right here. Where's the justice? How is Leah rewarded? How does the story end? Dinah has a child from this union. Anyone know her name? That's right. Her name was Osnat. Osnat is sent away with a locket that has Beit Yaakov on it, the house of Yaakov. She is sent down to Mitzrayim. Okay, guess who adopts her? Potiphar. Okay, adopts her. Okay, guess who Yosef marries? That's right, he marries his niece. He marries Osnat. Osnat has 2 children. What are their names? Very good. Ephraim and Menashe. Right? 2 children, Ephraim and Menashe. So here's this girl who is the product of a rape. Doesn't make any sense to us. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that there is justice in the world. We know at the end of the story what happens. Ephraim and Menashe, Reuven and Shimon. Yaakov says that Ephraim and Menashe have a place, an inheritance, the land in Israel, as a tribe. So it seems as if Leah made a sacrifice and she lost one. But in the end, my friends, what happens? God pays her back double. We don't have the ability of seeing everything in the future. It's hard for us to relate to the past. But if all you are doing in the present is just letting go so that you could let God, all you got to do is point the compass in the right place. And you'll find yourself filled with all the blessings. Don't worry about how the story ends. It's not fair. I need a good this. I need a that. I need a shidduch. I need a guy. I need money. I need to pay for this. I need a bigger this. I need a smaller that. Whatever it is, your job is to do you. Be true to who you are. Be yashar. And then, my friends, you'll find the bracha, the amplification of that yashrut, that will fund and fill you to give you whatever it is that you need and whatever it is that you are looking for. Don't stop the film. Don't give up. You want to understand how we've made it so long in Jewish history? Why you and I here are telling and listening to this story together? It's because we come from people that never gave up. They never allowed the story of the past or the circumstance they were in to define them. You can be more, you can be bigger. All you got to do, my friend, is dream. Dream. Never give up. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom Avarach that should be filled with happiness, health, and success. Looking forward to continuing the conversation next week, guys. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for listening. My pleasure, Lev. Good seeing you. Have a great day, guys. I got to jump off.